Hola, ¿cómo están? Aquí Salgado y como pueden ver, estamos en un nuevo juego llamado The Stanley Parable. Un juego que creo que no muchos lo han escuchado, pero es un juego que vi algunos videos de este juego y me gustó mucho. Es como tiene muchos finales, o sea, puedes hacer como lo que tú quieras. No es de una historia que te va a seguir como es, sino puedes hacer lo que tú quieras, ¿no? Entonces, bueno, vamos a comenzar una partida, comenzar la partida perfecto. Y creo que vamos a jugar una partida ya, porque luego a veces se larga mucho, depende de cuánto dure la partida. Si dura como 10 minutos lo dejaré y si no lo recortaré un poco, ¿no? Pero bueno, vamos a comenzar con este juego que espero que les guste. Si les gusta, por favor, pueden dejar su like y comentar qué les parece este juego, ¿no? Porque podemos ver, está cargando el loading. Creo que está en subtitulado, creo, en español. No sé, porque ahorita vamos a checarlo. Entonces vamos a que se cargue. Una disculpa también por faltar tanto en el canal, pero es que como son vacaciones, he estado descansando, pero ya empieza el año y volvemos a subir videos normalmente, ¿no? Y bueno, también un saludo a Fragway Orange, que me hizo el favor de crear el logo del canal. Si pueden checarlo, se los agradecería y me dejaran qué les pareció. La verdad es que a mí me gustó mucho el logo, cómo lo mejoró. Pues entonces, bueno, vamos a dejar de hablar y vamos a comenzar la partida, que ya casi está nada. Lobrin, ya está. Les voy a dejar de qué se trata la historia, ¿no? Te voy a callar.
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Ok, ahorita vamos a seguir un poco la historia de lo que nos diga el narrador y para hacer la historia que vendría siendo la principal, y luego pues iremos alternando, ¿no? Pero entonces ahorita el primer capítulo vamos a hacer lo que nos diga este tipo.
What could it mean?
What could it be?
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Entonces ahorita vamos a la sala de reuniones. O sea, ahorita vamos a seguir todo lo que él nos diga y después tal vez desobedeceremos sus órdenes, ¿no? Para que sea más divertido. Por ahorita a lo que va a decir. A la izquierda. Ok, vamos a hacer todo lo que él nos diga ahorita. 411. A ver.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Vamos a la oficina del jefe. ¿Para dónde? A ver.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Ok, vamos arriba. Muy bien, llegamos ya. Y entramos. Tampoco no hay nadie.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, what dark secret was being held from him. What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret pin number. 2845. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
¿A dónde? Acá, ¿no? Acá ya está. Picamos el botón. Ahí estamos. Y bueno, otra vez nos aparece esto de cargando. Entonces, bueno, mientras se carga, voy a hablar poco con ustedes, pues principalmente para decirles de que, pues para que me digan, dejen en los comentarios qué juego les gustaría para el canal. Porque ya que tenemos tantos, como que creo que no voy a poder grabar todos al mismo tiempo. Yo creo que iré grabando los que ustedes más quieran y después ir agregando los otros, pero ustedes me dicen.
Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
Avanzamos.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Ahorita, yo creo que en el próximo vamos a ir para acá o no sé qué vamos a hacer, pero ahorita vamos a seguir todo lo que nos diga. Entonces vamos a Mind Control Facility. Oh. ¿Qué es esto? Picamos. Aquí voy a bajar tanto el volumen. Ahí está perfecto, lo siento por esto, pero prefiero tener buen el audio. Picamos.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Vamos a ir avanzando a averiguar qué está pasando. Esto no es una oficina cualquiera. Picamos.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Ok, continuamos avanzando. A ver qué pasará, Picamos. Ahí está.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe it couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
Ok, por acá. Ahí está.
No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable.
Nunca.
Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof, the heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content, walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Vamos a apagar la computadora para que de una vez por todas, para que deje de controlar a la gente, ¿no? Dice System Power Off or On. Ahorita, como dije, vamos a hacer lo que nos llega, entonces vamos a apagarla, ¿no? De una vez. ¡Pum! Ok. ¿Qué pasó? ¿Qué pasó? ¿Dónde estoy? ¿Dónde estoy?
Blackness
¿Qué pasa?
and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over?
¿Acabó?
Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine. Unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him. For it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking.
Oh, libertad.
Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let
dejarlo ir.
No longer would anyone tell him where to go.
Oh, somos libres.
How to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing.
No puedo.
Stanley stepped through the open door.
¿No puedo regresar? No podemos. Pero bueno, ya somos libres por fin.
Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen.
Lo logramos,
And
escapamos.
Stanley was happy.
Muy bien. Entonces, bueno, ese fue uno de los finales, porque dicen que hay muchos finales. Bueno, entonces yo creo que ahorita nos da tiempo de jugar otro final. Entonces vamos a hacer ahorita, vamos a hacer lo opuesto, ¿no? Ahorita vamos a hacer todo lo opuesto que él nos diga, a ver qué tal salen las cosas. Entonces, bueno, yo creo que si otra partida, aunque dure como 15 minutos el juego. Ay, 10 minutos. Vamos a echar nosotros, otro, ¿por qué no? ¿Por qué no? Vamos a hacer un poco más rápido ya que ya leímos
All
un
of his
poco esto.
co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a
Ahorita
memo.
vamos a ir todo eso, pero ahorita que nos diga qué hacer, vamos a hacer lo opuesto. Ok, aquí. Vamos a ir a la derecha,
Stanley
vamos a ir a
came
la
to a
derecha.
set of two open doors. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge
Vamos a la
first,
sala de empleados.
just to admire it.
Oh, qué hermoso.
Ah, yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
Vamos a disfrutar todo esto. Y bueno, ya nos vamos.
But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his
Una
left.
puerta abierta. No, lo opuesto. Vamos a hacer todo lo que no nos diga. Todo lo que no
Stanley was
nos...
so bad at following
todo lo
directions,
opuesto.
it's incredible
¿No
he
sabes esto?
wasn't fired years ago.
¿Qué dice warning? Cargo... No, ahorita no vamos a morir. Entonces ahorita vamos a ver ya dónde nos lleva
Look,
esto.
Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her.
Por ella.
This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside. To let her back into your life.
Ella.
She's been waiting.
¡Ay! ¡Ay!
That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this. To reach out to her. If you can truly place your faith in another, then pick up the phone.
¿Dónde estamos? Vamos a contestar. ¿Qué pasa? Toma el teléfono. ¿Qué es esto? ¿Qué es esto?
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
¡Ay, no!
Gotcha. Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife who'd want to commit their life to you? I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on
Yeah.
here.
Gracias, esposa.
This is a very sad name, Stanley.
Sí. Dice, buenos días, empleado 4B en su teclado. ¿B?
Stanley is
Okay.
quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence.
Sí. Por favor, presione Q. Ya,
Look at
presione
him
Q.
there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to
Sí.
do. Now he's
Ahora.
pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life.
Por favor, presione 8.
But in his mind, he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful. And each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him.
No quiero. Bueno. B.
And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the
¿No puedo
face
salir?
of the earth.
No.
The thought excited him terribly.
Perfecto. Para pasar tiempo con los muchachos.
So he went further. He imagined that he came to 2 open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold.
Para preparar la cena.
As he wandered through this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable.
Z para contar a los niños una historia.
It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time.
A decirle a su esposa que la amo.
But there is no
Ay,
answer.
no.
How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one.
Para dormir.
And I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he can never be anything but an observer, that as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it. You see?
No.
Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself?
Para cuestionar nada.
I suppose I can't. Not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see.
No sé si le caso.
Maybe this time. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried.
No, ¿qué pasó? ¿Qué pasó? ¿Qué pasó? Bueno, parece que se acabó otro final. Estuvo raro, pero yo creo que hasta aquí bajé el capítulo de... Pues, espérate, ¿cambio esto? ¿O no? No acaba, ¿o sí? No.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Derecha. Ya estoy diciendo siempre.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Pero... No sé,
wow, yes, this room. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Es que no sé seguir porque ya llevamos un buen tiempo. Pero bueno, vamos a echar un capítulo largo. Entonces vamos a hacer otra vez lo...
Stanley was so bad at following directions.
Creo que ahora esta vez no sé si saltar para acá. Vamos a saltar.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here.
Vamos a saltar.
I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not.
No, ya lo sé.
I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story...
Toma!
Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance.
Okay.
Now listen carefully, this is important.
Sí.
Stanley walked through the red door.
Caminamos por azul. Azul.
Aha, perhaps you misunderstood. Stanley walked through the red
Que el azul.
door.
Que el azul. Vamos por azul.
I still don't think we're communicating properly. Stanley walked through the red door.
Por acá.
All right, fine. Go ahead, Stanley. You want to know so badly what's out there? You want to find out what lies at the end of this road you've chosen? Well, don't let me stop you.
¿Qué es esto?
You see? There's nothing here. I haven't even finished building this section of the map because you were never supposed to be here in the first place. Broken rooms, exposed developer textures. Is this what you had wanted? Was it worth ruining the entire story I had written out specifically for you? Do you not think I put a lot of time into that? Because I did. And in the end, it was all for nothing. Because this is what you wanted to see. Help me here, Stanley. Help elucidate these strange and unknowable desires of yours. What would have made this game better? What did you want to see? Vehicles? Skill trees? Work with me. You've given me absolutely nothing so far. Tell you what. Let me take a stab in the dark at a new design, and you can give me some feedback.
Okay.
There we go.
Oh.
Third option. This already feels leaps ahead of where we were before. Go ahead, Stanley. Take it for a spin.
Okay.
Okay,
¿Qué es esto?
I'm going to stop you there. Now, tell me about your experience with this new version. Would you say that the game benefited from allowing you more choices? Feel free to be honest. I'm looking for some real critical feedback here. Aha! You see, I knew I was onto something. Where do these flashes of inspiration come from? How did I know the game needed a third door? Well, it's instinct mostly, a calling in your gut. I really couldn't say where the idea came from, except that
Sí.
I felt it in my soul.
Ay.
You can't teach that, Stanley. Don't even try. Here, based on the data from your previous playthrough, I've compiled a new version. And to be perfectly candid, I think I've knocked it out of the park with this one. Let's take a look.
Ok. Uy, ¿qué es esto? ¿Cómo? Worldwide Leaderboard. ¿Qué? No entiendo esto. ¿Qué es esto? Los... ¿Eh? ¿Qué es esto? No entiendo esto. ¿Qué es eso? Yo te cuento la... ¿Sabías que el 21% de los jugadores saltaron el intro? No, de corrector. No, es que creo que sí. Ok. ¿Esto yo? ¿Peor? Dice you have... vamos a dar otra vez acá.
Now, would you say that competitive leaderboard helped you feel motivated to keep walking through doors? Again, honest answers, please.
No.
Hey, I nearly forgot. I've got a prototype of a new game I've been working on.
Perfecto.
And now
Vamos a
would be
probarlo.
a lovely opportunity to give it some play testing. You
Okay.
wouldn't mind taking a look at it, would you?
No.
Perfect. Let me boot it up.
Perfecto. ¿Sabes qué? Yo creo que mejor voy a hacer como dos partes porque es demasiado. No puede ser, no puede
The
ser.
baby crawls left towards danger.
Este-
You click the button to move him back to the right. And if he reaches the fire, you fail. It's a very
Okay.
meaningful game. All about the desperation and tedium of endlessly confronting the demands of family life. I think the art world will really take notice.
Okay,
But of
perfect.
course, the message of the game only becomes clear once you've been playing it for about 4 hours.
4 horas.
So why don't you give it 4 hours of play to make sure it's effective?
Vamos a ver
Be
cuánto
sure to keep
aguantamos.
notes on your experience.
Ya no puedo. O sea, no tenemos que dejar que el bebé se acerque al favor. Picamos. Muérete. No puedo. Pero 4 horas es un buen. No bajar un poco volumen porque ay, le va a bajar que es demasiado fuerte. No, pero 4 horas. Ah, ya que se muere, ¿sabes qué? Muérete, ya. Vais. Muérete.
You heartless bastard. Did you do it because you hate babies or purely to spite me? Because if it's the latter, well, I don't know what to do. I'm completely out of ideas. I can't think of a single thing that might improve the experience for me. I'm not even going to try. I'm out. I'm
¿Qué?
done. It's over.
¿Qué?
Thank you for playing. Your input was extremely valuable. Oh, hey, since my game was so awful, why don't we play someone else's game? Just to ease the pain. Let's see. What do we have here? Yes, this seems like it'll work. Let's give it a shot.
Vamos a probar. Sí, se está alargando. Pero bueno, ya, ¿qué? A ver cuánto aguanta. No puede ser.
Well, Stanley, is this any better?
Minecraft.
At last, the one thing
Minecraft.
you've always desired. A game I had absolutely nothing to do with. But is it enough? Tell me that, Stanley. Will it ever be enough? Well, I'll say this. I'm done making things for you. From now on, I will only create to fulfill a greater artistic purpose.
Una casa.
Watch this, Stanley. I'm going to build a house.
Pero déjame salir. ¿Dónde está la
This
casa?
will go here. No, here. And then... Let's see, what does it need? Yes, of course. And just to finish it all
perfecto.
off... Yes, it's complete. I made this, Stanley. Look at it.
Muy bien.
Gaze upon my work of art and feel ashamed at your own inadequacy.
¿Qué pasa con eso?
But you've only seen it from the outside. You've only gotten half the experience. Please, step inside and make yourself comfortable.
Perfecto.
Isn't it grand?
Sí, está
Isn't it
muy
perfect?
bonita, muy
It could only be better if... Wait, that's it. We must rebuild it out of diamond. Diamond everything. Yes. Come along, Stanley. We have to go mining.
Perfecto, vamos a minar. ¿Por acá? Ahí estamos. ¿Qué onda con
Oh
esto?
my, it looks like it's going to get a bit dark. Have you brought a light?
No. Ah, pues ya no veo.
Oh, no. This is far more open-ended than I had in mind. I'm looking for something more narrow and linear. Something that makes you feel utterly irrelevant. This won't do at all. 1 out of 5. Even the diamonds couldn't save this one. Okay, new game.
Ok, luego. Llevamos como... ¿Cuánto tiempo llevamos? Creo que es un buen, pero no sé si llegaron... Uy, 27. No sé, es que yo creo que esto... Vamos a hacerlo en partes. 2 partes ahorita. Voy a hacer la mitad y la mitad. Entonces no sé cuánto llevamos. Entonces ya creo que es la segunda parte, yo creo. ¿Qué? Ay, no, Portal.
Yes,
No.
I don't even know what this game is, but I love it.
Portal, no lo vamos a Portal.
You, trapped in a glass box with no way out, listening to me talk. Oh, it's inspired. I couldn't have done it any better myself. What is this game even supposed to be? I can't figure it out. Okay, now I'm curious. Let's go find out what the hell this is.
Dice 001. ¿Qué tenemos que hacer? O sea, sí que no puedo que estamos buscando Portal en este juego, pero ya como les dije, está muy raro este juego, pero bueno.
It's a puzzle. Critical thinking, Stanley.
Ay,
Your
sí.
forte.
Perfecto, agarramos esto. Ahí,
Genius.
ahí está. Muy bien.
No, actually, you know what? I think that's plenty. I really don't care much to see you stumble through.
Oh. ¿Dónde estoy? ¿Dónde estoy? ¿Qué onda? ¿Qué pasó? ¿Qué pasó? ¿Qué hice? ¿Qué hice? ¿Cómo estás? ¿Qué onda? ¿Qué pasó? ¿Por acá? ¿Busco saltar? ¡Oh! ¿Qué pasó? ¿Qué está pasando? ¿Qué está pasando? Esto ya es muy raro, pero... Creo que esto es un juego de Half-Life, no sé muy bien Half-Life. ¿Qué está pasando? ¿Qué está pasando? ¿Qué? Demonios. ¿Qué pasó? ¿Puedo subir el brillo? Creo que se puede subir. No se puede. No entiendo qué hacemos aquí. ¿Qué estoy haciendo aquí? ¿Qué onda? Ay, ¿por acá? Pregunto yo. ¿Por aquí? 4 o 7. Uy, veo la luz. ¿Qué es esto? ¿Qué es esto? No entiendo nada. ¿Dónde está el tipo que habla? Ay, es el mío, ¿no? 4, 2, 7. ¿Qué está pasando? ¿Qué está pasando? No sé qué hacer, no tengo la menor idea qué hacer aquí. Pero ¿qué hago? No, la que no sé, yo creo que... Es que no sé qué hacer aquí. En serio, no sé qué hacer aquí. ¿Qué
I wonder what he found. If what he wanted was to be the leading man in his own story, well, perhaps he's gotten it. Down in wherever he is right now. I wonder if he's happy with his choice. And if he's learned the heavy cost that comes with it. He'll understand soon what I was trying to tell him. He needs me. Someone who will wrap everything up at the end to make sense out of the chaos and the fear and the confusion. That's who I am. That is what I mean to this world.
This world.
Oh, yes. Yes, I'll be back. There's no other way. Once this ends, after it all comes to a close, then I'll be back. The end will be here soon. Very soon. I can wait.
¿Qué puedo hacer? ¿Nada? ¿Qué pasó? ¿Qué? Ya, ya es que acabó. Esto otro final. Yo creo que hasta aquí voy a dejarlo. Ya llevamos 30 minutos. Pero sabes que yo mejor lo voy a dejar ya 30 capítulos. Espero que aguanten este video que está bastante largo. Pero está bien esta hora porque la verdad es que es un juego muy largo. Depende en qué final termines como ahorita, que al principio fue muy corto y estaba larguísimo. Pero bueno, espero que os haya gustado. Recuerden, si les gusta, dejar like y comentar qué fue lo que más les gustó el juego, otro juego o cualquier otro juego que se llame en el canal, se os agradecería mucho. También compartir este video con sus amigos, pues para que más gente conozca el Barto Salgado y mis videos que hago, que los subo con mucho gusto y los hago con mucha alegría para ustedes. Y último, pero no tanto, por favor, suscríbanse al canal, se os agradecería mucho, ya que así les llegaría directamente a su cuenta de Google o su correo. Ay, ¿qué pasó? ¿Se cerró? Pero yo creo que voy a dejar todo por hoy. Soy el Barto Salgado y nos vemos la próxima.